Welcome to the Jerry Acuff Show. I'm Jerry, your host, and I started this podcast to bring to you people who are doing incredible things. I've always been fascinated by those who have found their greatness, and I'm excited to share the secrets of their success. Let's meet today's guest. Welcome to the Jerry Acuff Show. I am so excited today to have my guest. I promise you, today will probably be the youngest guest we've ever had. Today, our guest is Zach Burau, who is a phenomenal entrepreneur, if there ever was one. He's got guts I will never have. He is the CEO and founder of Wonderift, which is the first airline travel membership company, and I just can't wait for you to hear his story. It's unbelievable. He's actually launching on August the 1st this year, and unlike most businesses, he'll be profitable at launch. Zach is 20. I have shoes older than that. Zach is a former Division I athlete. He was a tennis player at Mount St. Mary's University. He dropped out of college last November to pursue this business idea, and I would remind you that Bill Gates also dropped out of college. So we are looking for Zach to be one of the 5 richest people in the world. He moved to Dallas, and he moved to Dallas because Dallas has become kind of the hub of the airline industry, and Zach was smart enough at the age of, I guess, 18 or 19 to know that, and he was he used his network to get where he is, but I would say he used his smarts because he's unbelievably smart, but he also used persistence, and persistence is omnipotent, and anybody that will call on 300 people to get one yes is somebody who I greatly admire. And, you know, this show is all about people who've done extraordinary things. It's about entrepreneurs, young and old. I'm the old, he's the young. So welcome, Zach. We're glad to have you on our show.
Jerry, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
So tell us about yourself and your company, because I just listened to your story. I was riveted.
Yeah, do you want me to go through the story real quick?
Yes. Tell us the story.
Yeah, so I was on my way back from playing Navy, last college tennis match, and I was just like,
Okay, wait a minute. Did you win?
Oh, I won.
Okay,
won my
good.
last college tennis match. Went out on a high note.
I lost my last college football game, so
I got something on you.
You do.
But yeah, I just kind of wanted to get out of the situation I was in, and I was like, I better come up with a pretty decent idea to get out of here. So I thought about it, and I saw that there was an opportunity in the airline industry where a lot of people had dropped the ball, and so I thought about Wonderift. I came up with a membership model that I thought might work, and talked to a couple people and packed up my car and drove to New York to get some advice from a buddy of mine who has another company, and off I went.
So what drove you to the airline industry? I mean, at 18 or 19, I'm not thinking about industries that I want to penetrate.
Ever since I was
I'm thinking about completely different things.
Well, I ever since I was a kid, I've always loved airplanes,
okay.
And so and it really kind of bothered me, actually. This might get in a little trouble for this, but I actually thought Richard Branson kind of dropped the ball when he started the Virgin Airlines. I don't think he really did too much to innovate in the industry. And when you see that not every airline's making a profit, it's kind of concerning, because they make so much money, they just don't make a profit. So I thought maybe there's a better way to do it that no one's looked at, and I saw kind of a unique opportunity that I could maybe take and pick up the baton where someone left it off.
So how'd you come up with this token idea? What?
Yeah, so I originally wanted it to be completely unlimited, $5,000 for unlimited flight. And I quickly realized that I got laughed out of a lot of VC and angel firm offices.
Right.
And the token thing is cool because it kind of turn into a little bit of a casino. If you think about it like chips, people don't think of $100; they think of one token, and it detaches people from the monetary aspect of travel, and it kind of makes it fun and unique.
Right.
And it was a cool way that no one else is doing it that way, and it was a cool way to do it. So, yeah.
So, but chips, I mean, are you a gambler? Or?
I'm a bit of a gambler. I love to play poker, and I love the concept of the casino. And so I thought it was a cool concept, the casinos have. And
Right.
I thought, maybe you could, if you really want to change an industry, maybe you could apply something that's definitely working over in Vegas. And so I thought it'd definitely work in the airline industry.
So how'd you come up with the economic model that let you believe that you could get to profitability?
Yeah, it's actually another thing that's really nice about the airline industry that people don't really know is that not a lot of these airlines are making money. So there's already that leverage for a additional distribution source for someone to come out there and add value to the airlines. They're sitting there and they're not making a lot of cash. They want someone to come in that can help them fill those seats, because when the door closes on that flight, they can't sell those seats anymore.
Right.
And so it's one of those very few industries where you can kind of instantly have leverage on a Fortune 50 company right out the gate if you can come up with a pretty good idea.
Wow.
So yeah.
That's amazing. And so, am I right about Dallas? I mean, did you have ties here, or
there's a couple reasons. The first thing is I know a lot of people in the startup industry, and I actually don't like the startup industry. I think people are being hugely irresponsible with these crazy evaluations, crazy money raises, and I think you're going to see a lot of problems, and people defer profit. They say, oh, we have all these users, we're not making money, but we'll make it back. I think it's really irresponsible. And so I wanted to be out of that zone. And I personally think Dallas is going to be the next Silicon Valley. I kind of call it the Flatlands. Dallas, Austin, and Houston, that area.
Right, yeah.
And so I thought, maybe, make my name for myself out in Dallas and kind of be different. Additionally, the airline industry is Southwest. Herb Keller, made his name out here. Right. And I thought, he's a guy that did it right. And then my best friend from college, who was a senior when I was a freshman, he played basketball at Mount St. Mary's. He actually holds a March Madness record when they went to the tournament.
Is that right?
Yeah. But he grew up out here and he lives out here. So I'd have someone I knew.
Gotcha.
So yeah.
So I mean, I think entrepreneurship is unbelievably fun, but it's also difficult and it's challenging. I know, for me, it took me 6 years to figure out which way was up, and I was in my 40s.
Yeah.
So the concept that somebody at 20 could come up with your idea is very impressive to me. And I know that there have been, challenges along the way, but what role, if any, did your network play in your success?
Yeah, so a lot of people will say your network is your net worth. I'm sure you've definitely heard that before.
Right.
And I was fortunate that I had an uncle who was in private equity, and he was able to give me a couple pointers.
Right.
You always need that. You need one person that can, and it doesn't matter where you find them. You need one person that can really kind of tell you what to do, because you can read a lot of stuff and you can learn a lot of stuff, but you need someone that can make the road a little easier in regards to just giving you a roadmap. There's certain things you got to do when you're raising cash or when you're flat out starting a company.
So basically you had a combination of a network as well as, quasi mentors who were giving you guidance and advice about things that you had some knowledge of, but not deep knowledge of.
Yeah, I didn't really have, and my dad was pretty important too. He gave me some maybe some guidance along the way. But I also learned that, people at the beginning of a company, they're always looking for mentors. They're always looking. And I think if you just foot on the gas and just go for it, there's so many people. I mean, my board of directors are guys that I've picked up, former guys that have started airlines, just guys you pick up as you're in the industry. This, the longer you're in the industry, the more people you meet and the really smart and intelligent people you can meet. So I think if you can't look for mentors, a good one, they'll come.
Right. Well, I couldn't disagree with that at all. I actually give a talk called Finding Bud Garrett. And Bud Garrett was the guy who changed my life when I was like 13 years old, because I was smoking, drinking, a thug. Yeah. And, I was on the way to the wrong kind of house, mm-hmm. The prison house. And he saw me and said, hey, you need to be playing football. And I became a college athlete, and I owe a boatload of my success to the fact he saw something in me I didn't see in myself. And when I do this talk, I talk to young people, and in fact I'll do it Sunday to 25 young African American, Latino kids who are underperforming but have huge potential. And I'll say, you have to find your own Bud Garrett. But if you find people that have ideas and knowledge that you want, all you got to do is ask them.
Yeah. And most people don't ask.
And most people don't ask. No, it's a fascinating concept. I did a talk for a client last summer, 500 people. I put my telephone number, and I mean, I'm one of the top sales experts in the world. I don't say that to brag, but it's not like I'm chopped liver either. And one person called. Now, that one person, I gave him my goal setting system because he wanted a job that he had been turned down for 10 times in 17 years. And within 6 weeks of finishing my goal setting system, which is 22 minutes, he got the job he wanted at 53. And so, I'm amazed at the number of people who don't take advantage of. You got to ask people to help you, because there are people that want to help you.
Yeah, there will be. I honestly think, if you talk to 10 people, I think there's 3 people there that will give you a shot. But you got to talk to the 10 people, and most people won't.
Yeah, I got a good friend named Chuck Reeves. In fact, I did a post on LinkedIn this week on something that Chuck wrote in a book he wrote called The Theory of 21. He says you have to ask 21 people to get a yes, because 96% of people will tell you no. Perfect. And your numbers are probably higher than that. But one of the things he said is that so many people are waiting on the right time. And he said the right time comes along so infrequently, it's not worth the pursuit for anybody. He says if you're waiting on the right time, plan to stay where you are from now on. Yeah. And I think there's absolute brilliance in that. I talk a lot about, when I talk to entrepreneurs, and I do a lot of entrepreneur conferences and stuff, I tell people there's 5 things you need if you're going to be wildly successful as an entrepreneur. Now, this is just Jerry's view of the world, right? One is you need a good idea. You can check the box, right? The second thing is you need money. The third thing is you need to be really good at setting and achieving stretch goals. What you're trying to do, a person who sets ordinary goals ain't going to make it. The fourth thing you need to be is you need to build and leverage and maintain a network so that people will hear you out and listen to you differently. And I wrote, 3 books about that. And then the last thing is you got to be persuasive, because if you're not those last 3, then the first 2 don't matter. If you don't have a network that somebody's going to actually listen to what you have to say, and many times you have to do what you did, which is create your own network. Yeah. Which is amazing that you had that fortitude at your age. So it's hard enough to start a company and make it last. I mean, the statistics on companies that last 5 years and 10 years are unbelievable. My company's been 18 years. And of the 18 years, we've had growth 16 years. So I'm not unpleased with that. But I wasn't. Well, I guess I was profitable at the first, but it was only because it was me and I was selling my time, and anything above 0 was profitable. Yeah. So how did you achieve both of these things at the same time? Get your company kicked off and make sure that it would be profitable from day one.
Yeah. So that was my biggest thing when I decided I wanted to leave school and start this company. Is I was so kind of distraught and fed up with Silicon Valley and the irresponsible attitude that they were, saying we're going to raise huge sums of money and then, operate at a loss for 5 years. And that really bothered me. And so basically, when we did our capital raise, I also didn't want to bring in, I wanted to keep control as much as I could. I think that's where these kind of startups in the Valley get into trouble. So I just raised pure debt, 8% interest only over 6 years. And so I thought that was good because I could have complete control over the company. Right. And so that was nice. And so kind of the profitable thing is these kind of the secret sauce that I've worked out is, there's a profit margin on every ticket I get. And so anytime someone uses a token, I'm making money. Right. And so day one, when the first person spends 1 token, there's going to be a profit in there for WandaRift. Wow, that's unbelievable. And so you have a
sort of a backlog of people that are ready to start on August 1st when you're ready to start?
250.
250.
Yeah.
And how'd you find them?
It was honestly, it's kind of interesting. Have you ever heard of Reddit?
Yeah.
So I'm really not a big fan of Google because I put up we were doing Google AdWords. We put up an ad, and they said my ad was fraud because the ad was fly anywhere to Wanderers destinations for $100 a ticket. They told me that was impossible. So I said, well, all right, I'm going to go to Reddit. So we did Reddit ads, $20 a day, and we were averaging about 8 signups a day for people signing up for an account to pre-order. And so we did that. I went to this startup conference called Startup Grind. Wanderers got in, and I promoted it there. And we had some articles written, but nothing really too big. We've really been focused on perfecting the product, and we've been really fortunate that people love what we're doing, and 250 people.
Now, you mentioned to me earlier that you were homeschooled.
Yeah, so I was when I was in high school, my mom and dad thought it'd be pretty cool for me to go down to Florida, and
Gotcha.
I was playing in the Midwest, and they said go down to Florida and train at a tennis academy down there and homeschool and do that. Yeah.
So how much did you learn about business and entrepreneurship from your folks?
Yeah, so my mom was on Broadway and did that. So she took chances and took risks. And my dad, actually my whole family, other than my mom and I, are dentists. So they own dental offices and do that. And so I grew up, my dad running a business. I learned everything. I was sitting at the dinner table hearing about what was going on and everything like that.
But most kids that are that young ain't really listening. I got an 18-year-old. I can tell you, they ain't all listening.
At a very early age, it was actually second grade. I was looking around, and I just kind of realized that not everyone was kind of the same. I think when you're kind of a little kid, you maybe think everything's kind of equal, and I always wanted to have a life where I could have a lot of freedom. And so at that age, I kind of decided I better figure something out so I can, get that freedom.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So once you get this thing going, what's your...
Yeah, so the actual goal of Wanderift is to be the first airline subscription. So we are going to be an airline with our own routes, and our members pay kind of the same thing as Netflix. Netflix has their own content now. We want to have our own routes and our own flights and have Wanderift be an airline.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I mean, you want to own planes?
Lease them.
Well,
not much better.
I don't know. I mean, I did 150,000 miles a year on an airplane.
Yeah.
And it is an amazing experience.
Well, let me kind of explain something to you, and I think you'd actually get this. So when somebody starts an airline, they raise cash, they build infrastructure, and then they find the customer.
Right.
They find the market. So before they take any flights or do anything, they put all this effort in, and they don't even know if the thing's going to work.
Right.
They don't know if there's a market for it. So I thought, I'm sitting in my dorm room, and I'm like, I want to have an airline. So I thought, well, let's turn it on its head, and let's get the market, and let's get the customers, and use other airlines' infrastructure, and just raise a small capital raise, not even close to what an airline needs, and build a membership base that loves what we're doing. And then we can get all that data. The reason why these airlines fail is they don't have the data that American Airlines has.
Right.
So we get this data of the profitable routes, when people are spending tokens, when people want to fly. We take all that data, and it's a lot easier to make an educated decision on an airline, on routes and everything, when you've got 3 or 4 years and you've got 10,000 members that people are going to use this thing.
So these tokens are I mean, I fly from Roanoke, for example,
Yeah.
Virginia, a lot because I live in Virginia, and I live also in Arizona.
Yeah.
Can you fly from Roanoke?
One-way ticket anywhere domestically.
So if I go, I'd be going to Charlotte.
Yeah, Charlotte. Charlotte would be your
And
airport.
then, but if I went from Charlotte to Dallas, it'd be another 100.
One token, Charlotte to Dallas. Well, so if you're going from Roanoke to Charlotte
Yeah.
and Charlotte to Dallas, as long as it's the same airline,
Okay,
it's one token.
Got you.
So that's one token, that trip.
So I could fly down here for $400. I mean, here and back, $400.
200. Is it the same airline going Roanoke to Charlotte?
I go Roanoke to Charlotte, Charlotte to Dallas, Dallas to Charlotte, Charlotte to Roanoke.
Yeah, it'd be 2.
That's 2 tokens?
$200. Yeah.
I hate you.
Yeah.
You want to know what I paid today?
Probably eight something or 1,200 in that range.
Less than 12, more than 8.
It's around $1,000.
Yeah, first class.
Okay.
I mean, I could care less about first class. The only reason I did this one is because I had canceled a flight before, and my travel agent said, "Why don't you use that credit?" And I said, "Well, that's fine." Because it literally cost me $33. This trip. I mean, I'd already paid for the thing.
Yeah.
So, so what do you attribute your business acumen to?
Yeah.
Because you have unusual business acumen.
So I'd say
a 50-year-old, you have unusual business acumen.
I'd say. I know you talked about the 5 things, and I think those 5 things are really important. Right? For me, it's 3 things. 3 things that every innovator or entrepreneur or any business person needs. So I'd say the first thing is passion. And I know that's really surface, and a lot of people say that, but I think that's really important. I spent the first 3 months down here sleeping on my couch in my office and sleeping out of the car. And I think that passion is, fuel in a business. It's like gas in a car. That can kind of take you over the tough times. So I think passion is the first thing. I think the second thing is you need to be an incredible problem solver, because you know this as well as I do from running a business for 18 years and being having growth for 16. There's a problem comes up every 5 minutes, and you just got to put out fires, and you got to come up with solutions. So problem comes up, solve it, and you got to be perfectly okay with 5 minutes later another problem comes up. I think problem solving is the second thing. I think the third thing is you need to surround yourself, like the network, but you need to surround yourself, either your network or your team. You need to surround yourself with people that are smarter than you or know more about the things that you don't. And so I think those 3 things are needed in any company. Those 3 things.
Yeah, I couldn't argue with anything. I mean, the thing that's interesting about passion, one of the things I say in my virtual training is that your beliefs drive your behavior. And when you're passionate, and because what happened to me, I got fired at 51 from a job, and I said, very similar to you, who at 19 or 18, whatever the hell you were, I'm going to build a company that's doing $5 million in revenue. And I know that most people have never done that. I mean, a lot of people have. A lot of people have built $5 billion companies. I didn't do that, but I started out to do $5 million, and I was not going to stop until I did it. And we're significantly more than $5 million now. But it was the passion and the persistence that ultimately got there. The other thing, though, is I did exactly what you said. I surrounded myself with people that I knew could make me and my company better.
And that's really important. There's a lot of things that I'll be honest. There's a lot of things that I'm not good at. But there's somebody out there that's an A player at that thing that I'm not good at. Right. And I want him on my team.
Yeah. I just stepped down as president of my company, and I'm just the CEO now. And people ask me, why did you do that? And I said, well, because the guy that's now the president, number one, he's a better consultant than I am. Number two, he's a better leader than I am.
Yeah.
And number three, he and I are aligned in terms of values, but we have very different views of the world. And what I have found, because he's been with me 7 years, is that 99% of the time when he and I argue, and it's never uncivil, he's right.
Yeah.
And so I'm saying, 2 people tell you you're drunk, lay down. So anyway, that's why Matt Murphy is the president of my company, and he's doing a phenomenal job. Problem solving, you're right. I mean, there's a problem every minute. Whether it's cash flow or whether it's revenue or whether you got to fire somebody or, you made the wrong hire, there's all kinds of problems. I'm just amazed at your story, and I can't wait to see how all this thing plays out. My guess is I wind up a customer, but I really am sincere about, if you ever do hire Salesforce and you want somebody to teach them how to sell, I'll do it for.
It'll be the first call.
5 tokens.
I'll give you 10.
He'll give me 10. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you've enjoyed this session with Zach Burau. This is an incredibly powerful story. a lot of people ask me, when's the best time to go into business for yourself? And I said, as early as you can. Because the older you are and the more obligations you have, the more difficult it is. You may have a bigger network, but it's really, really hard. I mean, you can, when you're 18, 19, or 20, it doesn't kill you to be broke for a year.
I had nothing to lose. I had the shirt off my back, and some people would say it was a gamble, but it was more of a calculated risk.
Right.
But I love to play poker, so I guess you could say it's a gamble.
Well, you've been a great guest, and I'm
Thanks
excited. I'm excited to meet you. I know this thing is going to be successful. I want you to make sure that you link into me so I can talk about you on LinkedIn. I want to make sure that you follow me on Twitter so I can talk about, because I got lots of Twitter followers, lots of LinkedIn followers.
Awesome.
And I got lots of people on Instagram, and I'd love to tell them about you, because I think this is a magnificent idea, and I want to see you be wildly successful.
Awesome.
And ordinarily what I would say to people as I end this show is be incredible, but my God, how much more incredible could you be?
We got a long way to go.
Well, that's a good way to look with it. But the longest journey, as the Chinese say, begins with a single step. But you've taken huge steps towards making this this company successful, and it's not going to be successful. It's going to be wildly successul. And I'm going to be able to say that I was the first podcast you did, I hope. And if I'm not, I'm going to say it anyway.
You are. Well, I appreciate you having me on, and thank you.
Well, we're excited to have you here. And as I do say, people, if you want an example of what it takes to be incredible, listen to this podcast over and over again, because there are so many perils of wisdom, whether it's make sure that you have the right network, make sure that you're persuasive, make sure that you're good at goal setting, have the passion and the persistence to never, never, never quit. Problem solving is, it goes with almost any job, but certainly as an entrepreneur. And then surrounding yourself with people that are smarter than you are is genius. I always say, when you hire people that are smarter than you are, what you prove is you're smarter than they are.
That's true. I like that.
Thanks for listening to the Jerry Acuff Show, and until next time, be incredible. Thank you for tuning in today. I hope you enjoyed today's show, where we met yet another incredible person. As a thank you for listening, I want to extend a special offer. I want to give you 50% off of Jerry Acuff VT, because I want to help you be incredible. Head over to jerryacuffvt.com and use the code JAVT50OFF at the checkout and accelerate your path to finding your greatness.
RNCN, the digital destination for premium talk radio.